Good evening and welcome back to Greater Somerville for January 7th, 2014. I'm Joe Lynch.
And I'm KyAnn Anderson.
It is a new year. We've been celebrating the holidays. We have a new Board of Aldermen and Somerville School Committee and a mayor beginning an unprecedented sixth term in office. Somerville has much to be thankful for and much to look forward to. KyAnn and I will be introducing a new look for our show and our blog in 2014, and will continue to bring you the best and most interesting of the people, places, and topics that matter most to you. And right now, we are trying to stay warm.
This is ridiculous. Let's just talk about the weather for just a second. I know it's a very boring topic, but...
Everybody who's watching us live tonight is home warm, hopefully warm and safe.
I know. I didn't even want to come. I'm sorry to the viewers at home. I was really cozy at home, and I'm like, why do I have to do this?
Scat TV is in a beautiful historic building here in Union Square, but unfortunately it is old.
Yeah.
And the heating system, only half of it is working tonight.
Yeah. No. It's not that cold in here.
It's
I mean, usually it's
really
actually
not.
pretty warm in here with all things. We just thought
Can I
we'd
take these off now? Because
Yeah.
I'm getting reverb and
Okay,
feedback.
all right. So anyway, I really don't have any place to complain because I'm from Minnesota, as people may know. And, you know,
People in
just-
Minnesota have a place to complain right now.
Oh my God, it's like 40 below.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're back.
That was a little lead in too. How cold it is.
2014. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, as we get undone here.
How was New Year for you?
You know what? It was good. It's always just a little like, you know, you do the little reflections. You're like, okay, look, what can I change? What, you know, fitness goals, all those things. Maybe you don't. I do.
I always resolve on that week between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
That the worst habit I have is smoking. You know that. You're always on me about smoking.
Got to get rid of that.
And I tried to make the resolution this year, but I thought, you know what? I'm not going to make the resolution. I'm going to see what happens.
Well, no, I think that's good. I do think you need to.
Because I break it every
You need
year.
that in the bud. But what I will say is, and a friend of mine, Jeanette Lamberti, actually told me this. She said she heard from someone that you shouldn't be always looking at what can you change, what can you change. Like the 2014, you should look at what you embrace about yourself and what's good about yourself, and just focus on those things, as opposed to everyone getting anxiety about, oh, I got to lose 20 pounds. Not that you do that, but I mean.
Yeah, I don't care about my weight. I care. I care about how expensive cigarettes are at this point. But welcome back.
Welcome back.
We haven't been here since late November.
Well, we've had some technical difficulties. We'll talk to the viewer
we can
about
talk
that
about
a little
it at
bit.
some point. But we're excited.
We are excited.
We're going to make some changes to the show.
Uh-huh.
We're going to make some changes to the blog.
Yep.
We're in the process of doing that.
All good things.
And we should tell folks that we haven't completed it yet. You did the lion's share of it. And then there's another piece that has to be done. So if you are Googling or searching for past episodes of Greater Somerville, you may come up short on some of them.
And that's because of this gentleman right
and
here.
because KyAnn dragged her butt since early November in doing the conversion.
Yeah.
So
basically what it is, we're going to just get in that real quick.
Yeah.
We got booted off Blip. And I'm going to say
don't do
that.
business with Blip.
Yeah, they're just not, you know, anyway, we got booted off them because...
We and many other shows.
We did, true.
Right.
It wasn't just us.
Right.
We didn't get singled out. I hope not anyway. And so we actually went over to YouTube.
Yep.
So we have like 95, we have about 100 episodes of all the past shows, things like that we're putting over to YouTube.
And we're going to upload all the first year or first 2 years
Correct.
of those shows. We're going to upload
Before
those
I was on the show.
over a period of time.
Before it got interesting.
Well, they're
I'm just kidding.
The newer ones are more relevant
Correct.
at this point because they have people who are
relevant
still maybe in office in
Correct.
Somerville or still running for public office or more topical things.
Correct.
Yeah.
So look for that change.
We'll get them all up there within a month.
But I think the question is if you do go and you're looking for something and you Google it and you click on the link and it's broken, always go back to our WordPress blog, www.greatersomerville.wordpress.com. And those links should be up and running very shortly.
Yes.
But then we're going to revamp it. We're going to get like a new look. You know, it's time.
Yep.
We need makeovers. Joe's going to get a haircut.
I'm going to get a facelift. Yep.
I'm getting a facelift.
I said I'm getting a facelift. See,
like,
you're going to start
you know
off
what?
the brand new year.
No,
I resolve to be nice to you.
Okay. All right. You know what?
I won't talk about chickens.
That was one of our.
You know,
very
we're supposed to be careful.
We're not. We can't. Be
Yeah, we have
advertising.
hot cocoa tonight. We have to be careful with advertising. We're not supposed
Nothing in the cocoa, folks.
We're not supposed to let you know that we got that Dunkin'
We did get
Donuts.
So 2013, I know technically it's past 2013 and we shouldn't, it's passé to talk about it. But, you know, I think...
But everyone does a reflection on the year gone by,
Yeah.
right at the beginning.
I mean, I think that, are we accepting callers?
We
Do you
can.
want to? There's no one calling, but just...
Well, no one calls us. No one calls us. No one.
I know.
Either it's true what one of the media outlets in this city says about us, that we have tens of viewers.
I've always said we get more people online on
We
our
do.
local medias. So
We do.
2013, remember in 2013, it was an interesting year. I'm ready for 2014.
Yeah,
I'm
I
anxious
think the
about it.
saddest part of 2013 for most of us, and it's still fresh in our memories, is the marathon bombing.
yeah.
I mean, it rocked us to our core. But I saw a very uplifting story tonight about three of the elite runners, who they're back with a vengeance. They're coming back in 2014.
Yeah.
And they're going to be right at the leaders of the pack.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people. I know that they have opened up. I have a couple, a woman that I know that was affected by, she was down at the finish line. And they've given bibs to the survivors.
Yep.
They've given like
Yep.
3 bibs
Yep.
to each survivor,
Right.
so encouraging. And I think that they've opened it up. I want to say that there's more runners. I mean, they've really opened it up this year to allow people, because I think there are a lot of people out there that really do want to partake in it. And I mean, it really does. Think back to that whole lockdown. I mean, did that really happen? Like, it just seems like...
It was very surreal,
Yeah.
but I, as you know, we did, a tribute to the 4 victims that lost their lives. And, I thought about it over the holidays, how hard that must have been for those 4 families. So let's keep in mind, that the race is only a race.
Yep.
But a lot of people put their heart and soul into 2014 in memory of those 4 victims and the other victims who were severely hurt. So
No, and I think the holidays are those types of times where you think about that. But I mean, in retrospect, there's those victims and anyone who loses someone during that time of year. I mean, it's really, I don't know. It's always so hard because you see the Hallmark, cards and you see all the commercials and everybody's, and there are a lot of people that are hurting. So
but
I
it
think,
is also a time that people experience extreme joy.
Yes.
Yes.
And what happened? Did you have another niece or nephew?
We tried to count a couple of my nieces. On Christmas Eve, I hosted, once again, the family at Henderson House. We refer to it as Henderson House. And we calculated that based on how long the property has been on my mother's side of the family, that it was the 6th generation to walk on those floors on Christmas Eve.
That's crazy.
Well, she was crawling. My
That's adorable.
I think it's 15th or 16th grandniece, Neve.
Oh my
Miss
God.
Neve was there on Christmas Eve, and she was all over the place. But we had a terrific Christmas Eve, terrific holiday.
We didn't do the Illuminations tour this year.
We didn't.
We're doing it next
Because you
year.
refused
No, that's
to.
not true.
KyAnn went up on her fee. She requested that the city write out a check for $100,000
We get
in
paid
order
for
for
that.
her to appear.
No, we're going to do it next year. And it was unfortunate because there weren't as many lights out this year. I did ride it. I did go on the tour.
Yeah.
And it was just unfortunate because there weren't as
No,
many
it
lights
didn't-
because it was a shorter window between
Right,
Thanksgiving
right.
and Christmas.
And it didn't work out for us. I mean, we were asked by the city to do it again because of scheduling problems, because we did have a short season.
We did.
I mean,
Next
we
year.
had a very short season. We'll do it next year. So last night,
Yes!
You were missed.
I know.
You were missed.
I had a prior engagement. I couldn't make it. I
the
apologize.
swearing in of the new
All the
of
candidates.
the mayor. Congratulations on a 6th term.
Impressive run.
Impressive run, 6 terms. I had a little chat with the mayor at the Holiday Inn afterwards.
I heard that was a nice time.
It was very nice, very nicely done. New Board of Aldermen, new school committee. Chairman of the school committee is Christine Rafal.
Oh, yeah, I heard
Christine Taberge Rafal. And Bill White retains his presidency, and Jack Conley retains the vice presidency of the Board of Aldermen. So congratulations
that.
to everybody.
Congratulations. That's gonna be exciting to see how that, it's a different board.
It's going to play out. I mean, a lot of these people think, oh, new members. 2 of them are not new members.
Yeah.
And 2 of them have been around the city for a long, long time. Mira Jo Rossetti served on the school committee. Mark Niedergang served on the school committee. So they're not unfamiliar with what goes on in city
No,
government.
I think it's just really of whether or not they're going. I mean, there's certain new candidates that kind of, we want to get your feet wet,
Right,
understand.
right.
Then there are others that maybe come out with a vengeance. So I think it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how.
I have full faith in all of them that, they're going to look to the more senior members of the board for direction. They're not going to do exactly what
I was
they
just going
tell
to say,
them,
I was
but
like, that's
they're gonna-
nice of you to say, but I think that they're obviously going to have their own independent voice on some
Yeah,
issues.
you know what? Somebody asked me last night at the inaugural, they said, what do you think? And I said, I love change. I like change as long as it's for the better.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in the old ways, and if we were all the same, it
Yeah.
would be boring.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an exciting year.
Well, new mayor. We have the new mayor of Boston.
New mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh.
That's a long time. 20 years.
That's what they mean by
Wow.
end of an era. 20 years is a long time to be a mayor of a city.
Wow.
Yeah. So Joe Curtatone has another 8 to 10 to go to beat Tommy Menino.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, politics, exciting politics.
Yep.
What else is going on?
Yeah.
A lot going on in the city.
A lot going on in the city.
2014 development. I really.
Well, you follow the blogs, and I follow the blogs, and you see the news stories and how people feel about what's happening in the city. You still have that pro moving forward.
Yep.
And let's redevelop and let's rejuvenate and let's do all this stuff. And then there's another group of people saying, wait a minute, what about me? I'm not reaping the benefit of this stuff. And that was very clear last night in the two speeches.
Yeah.
In the mayor's speech and in Bill White's speech.
Yeah.
Bill White was very clear, very succinct. Development, we need development in the city. We need new sources of tax revenue, new commercial development, but let's not be overeager and lose sight that there are people who may not be able to participate in that.
Well, I think it's important because I think that there are three positions. There are people that are like just pro-development, just do whatever.
Right.
Then there are people that are absolutely no change whatsoever. I don't want
You got
change.
it.
But then there are people like myself. I mean, obviously people might look at me and go, oh, well, she just wants to, development change, yuppie, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, in fact, I do think that, we really have to slow it down a little bit to really look at, okay, we want smart change.
Yep.
We don't want to just have these
Development for the
condos.
development's sake.
No,
Right.
exactly. And I think that, that's going to take a huge effort. The city's already tried to get out ahead of it for all their initiatives, things, summer vision, all those things. But it is really going to be interesting to see, especially 2014 in 2013, a big highlight was the GLX Green Line extension breaking ground.
Yep, down here in Union Square.
Yep, so it's going to be Union and over at Joy Street, Washington Street by the Brick Bottom Studios,
Yep.
and then of course Lynchmere has to move across the way.
Yep.
But that right there set everything off, and in terms
Yeah,
of
I'm a little bit more conservative than you are when it comes to this stuff. I caution people, don't get too excited. This is a big project. It's going to take a long time.
No, but no, true. But I'm saying this first phase. The first phase funded, everything's going forward. I mean, I can say that I obviously worked on that project. I think that it is safe to say that those three stations, of two of which will greatly impact Somerville, are a go. And
Right.
I wouldn't think that you'd be seeing the type of development buzz that there is, especially in the Union Square.
Right,
The
right.
RFP for looking for that.
Here's what I worried about, and you and I have talked about it before. Here's what I worry about. The mayor is a salesman. He's basically a salesman for the city, in addition to administering and running the city. He's a salesman for the city,
Yep.
and he should be. He should be the chief marketeer.
Yep.
Getting out there, telling people how great the city is, come do business with us, come visit us.
I think he's done that, yeah.
He does that. What that does, though, in the marketing world is it creates expectations, and it creates a buzz. So now you have the developers coming in before we even have the train stops. You and I faced it when we were doing the Maxwell's Green development.
Yes.
We were very cautious about tampering down expectations for people to say, oh, well, this is okay to cram in, the initial numbers, 300,
so
350
nice.
units,
Yeah.
because it's going to have a T-stop.
Yeah.
And I always said, but when will that T-stop
Absolutely,
come?
and I think you're a conservative. I agree with that. I think that going further out beyond Union Square is always going to be a questionable, like when is that going to happen? But I do think that at least minimally this phase
Yeah.
I just...
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I also think it's more touchy. The further you get away from here, it's going to be more touchy because you're smack dab in the middle of neighborhoods. Gilman Square is right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, Lowell Street is the most residential of all the stations.
And Ball Square has a double-edged sword because technically that Ball Square station will be in Medford. So Medford residents have equally as much say as Somerville residents because of the way it cantilevers off the Ball Square Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's there, it's moving.
People are talking about it?
Talking about it, but let's be cautious. That's all I'm saying. Because
Slow
I don't
down.
want the developers coming in and grabbing everything before we have...
It's already happened, though.
Yeah, before we have the chance to say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, that's what... Okay, so what I understand...
Down here, especially.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the whole thing. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, they're putting out a call for developers, like a master developer, right? So they basically want to take a master developer that kind of overlays and does an overall master plan of the specific Union Square area. For that very reason, Joe, is to look at each individual parcel and to think, okay, think holistically about how we're going to approach this as an area, not just parcel by parcel. Because I think when you do that, then you run the risk of...
And it starts looking like a mishmash.
Well, a garage sale, I like to call it, architectural garage sale.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a concern that I have, obviously, being a designer, and making sure that the people that are coming in here are also invested in the community. And so that master developer being a person, or people rather, that really they care about the outcome versus just the initial, the long-term outcome versus just the initial kind of financial.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I come down to it that let's do this right the first time, so that in 25 years or 50 years, folks who come after us are saying, and Bill White hit the nail on the head last night in his speech. He was talking about something that happened in Boston, and he said, people looked at it and they said, who let this happen? How could this have happened to a whole neighborhood? You've seen it. Yeah. You study this. You know, it's part of your profession. We've seen it in Somerville. Yeah. There are some ugly pieces of architecture in this city.
Well, I will say that there are different strokes for different people have different tastes.
Yeah, they do.
However, I do think, and you know what, I'm going to just go into this because there's development going on all over the place. In Union Square, it's very highlighted because there's a lot of people that are like, oh my God, Union Square, and everyone's focused in on it. And I'm very happy with the master plan that they're going to be creating with this master developer. However, there are certain pockets of development, i.e. right around Lowell Street Station, which is right in my neck of the woods. Yep. Where there are developments that are currently underway that, and
they're much smaller in scale, but they have just equally as much impact.
Exactly, because they're impacting the neighborhoods directly next to them versus here, there's a lot more parcels. So I really do, I do believe that the city wants to do the right thing, and I want to believe that there are developers out there and architects of those developers that also want to, design things that are fitting. But I do think, now's the time for us as a city to take a stand and say, okay, as neighbors, as business owners, we really want to make sure that these parcels are developed appropriately.
It's me walking into the Museum of Fine Arts saying, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way a lot of residents are feeling about the development. They don't know a whole lot about how development works and architecture and the language that you're versed in. Yeah. But they know what they like.
Well, but I do think that as far as transit-oriented development, you're going to hear that term a lot, TOD. Those are the types of things that there are people that aren't as familiar with it and comfortable with having high-density developments right next to these T stations. So, that is something that people get rid of cars for when you live in these areas. Right. Now, that being said, in the areas such as Lowell Street, where we don't know when that green line's going to come, there are specific developments that they're calling for less parking, saying, well, eventually the green line's going to come. And what I'm arguing as a neighbor and an activist is just, okay, let's just be sure that we can count on that because these streets are going to be flooded with all these developers that are going to be long gone after they're all here.
That's right.
And they really want to be, especially with Somerville, Joe has done a wonderful job making the city, well, yes, on the map, making it, everyone wants to come here. And the developers are here. They want to develop here. Right. They want to make, but let's push back a little bit to make sure that they follow a certain standard so that we can say, okay, before, many years ago, you didn't want to come here and we were pulling them here.
Right.
Now they're here. Let's be a little bit aggressive.
Right.
I mean, That's just my opinion.
You know, I look at my own neighborhood and I look at the patches of land that they built homes on. A 2,000 square foot piece of land, and they built triple deckers. You couldn't do that today.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not giving a whole lot. This is not the Bill White, you know, rah-rah section, but his speech last night was so important to remember what happened to this city years ago when we were a transit commuter stop, that we built up a lot of our land because we had mass transit.
Yeah.
We had trolleys all up and down the streets here.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the city allowed so much density. You know, we had an influx of people looking for inexpensive housing, and they found it. Bill's point is, if you want to keep families here and you want to keep the newcomers here, as their families grow, they can't live in a one-bedroom condo that we're putting up today. You need 2 and 3 and 4 bedroom units that somebody's got to fill that void, or we're going to be a city of single people or married people with no kids. The empty nesters will come back. Or, you know, what happens to the school system if you have no kids that will go to it? Well, then the school system,
you know, there's a lot going on.
You're much more versed, but we, you know, KyAnn and I have been talking about it. We've been advocating for it for a good 12 years now, because one of the first of the big developments hit our neighborhood
Maxwell,
with 199 units of new housing. So let's go forward. Upcoming shows. We're going to have that because we've been chitty-chatty here.
Yeah, we have. We have like 5.
Hot cocoa is getting cold.
I know. We got to sip this. Sorry.
We do have some upcoming shows. We're going to try a couple of things new. You and I had talked about it, about doing maybe some specials, Man on the Street specials.
Perhaps you'll see us out on the street. On a Saturday
morning, you might see us in the commercial districts
maybe
with our
you won't
trustee.
want to see us, but maybe we'll have a microphone that you can speak to. We want to do that. We've got a few things lined up. We're always open to ideas.
The gubernatorial candidates are already calling.
Yes.
I saw Steve Grossman, who is running for governor. He was at the inaugural last night, and one of his PR people came over and handed a card and said, "Can we come back on?" I said, "Most certainly." Team Coakley has been in touch with me.
Yep.
So Michael Lake, who's running for lieutenant governor.
That's
so we're going to
exciting.
have, this is a governor's year. We're going to have a governor's race, so look forward to them coming on. The arts and artists who live here in the city.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but a couple of them have said, you know, can we do a little show? And I said, sure.
Yeah. Well, we try to highlight various things about the city, and we do, you know, the open art studio.
Right, because you hate politics, and I'm old, so I don't know what you're talking about half the time.
Just because I couldn't come last night, now it's even stronger. I hate politics.
Because I'm not a hipster.
George Parekas is coming on.
George will come on. George has been on.
And Sarah Spicer. We're going to talk Davis Square. That's going to be in a couple weeks. That's going to be exciting. There's a lot going on in Davis Square.
Yep.
So we want to check that out.
That's going to go through its reinvention. Davis will.
It will. I mean, I think again, that's one of the squares that, you know, people don't think about because it's already established. There's all these things going on. I don't know. Is that? I heard that the Beer Works is not going in.
It is not.
I know, but they are, because they had a piece of cornice or something up at the top kind of fell, or so they had to repoint. That's what all that construction's for. And I was excited, thinking that perhaps that's going to go ahead, but it's not.
because you do nothing but go to the places like the Beer Works and places like that.
Exactly. When is Rosebuds going to be done? That's such a shame. I wish they
I
would
love that little pocket right there.
No, they ripped it all out. They're renovating. Yeah, all the booze. They're keeping it as is on the exterior.
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna ship all that stuff off site.
I hope so.
And they're gonna try to renovate it.
Kelly's Diner was, you know.
Kelly's was done that way.
Yeah, and then they renovated. I hope they don't. Anyway, okay.
We're also gonna have a new media personality who comes on and talks about his new publication.
We are.
Yes, Somerville News Weekly, which is the new media entrant into the city. It was kind of a spin-off from the Somerville News, and the Somerville
I'm sorry. This is all new to me, folks. I'm just learning this real time.
Well, because we haven't had a show. And these people have been kind of piling up.
No, that's fine.
So, yeah, they'll all be coming on.
Yeah. Well, we should talk about, like,
End of January, by the way. End of January.
That's George.
No, Somerville Community Access Television.
Oh, yes.
Annual meeting and
awards. I don't know if we're up for an award. this year.
They never tell me.
I know. Well, we get letters. I got a letter last year.
Yeah, they do
We're
send
up
out
for
the
best
letter.
show.
I don't
think we won. We didn't win last year.
We didn't win. We don't win anymore.
We should.
It was the week before that we got the letter. Right. So they only tell you about a week before.
So put the pressure on people. If you see people, you see Wendy Blum, make sure that you tell her this is your best show.
And tell her to get some heat in the building.
Get some heat in the building.
Excuse me.
Anything else? We've got a couple more minutes.
Upcoming stuff in the city of Somerville. Well, one of the things, not going back to politics, but one of the interesting things that happened is that the board from last year basically said, no more appointments.
Yes,
no
I did
more
see
appointments.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Changed that.
They said, look, if you're elected and it's a 2-year period. Now, that is different than dying in office or, having a life-threatening illness that you are forced to resign. Mm-hmm. But the reaction of the voters was, whoa.
Yeah.
We choose who's going to elect us.
Yeah.
Not the outgoing person.
So there'll be a special election.
So there's going to be special elections. If somebody steps down, the voters step in.
Couple good
restaurants. I love that.
I know,
you
that
like
is
that?
good. The new restaurant where Paddock is, there's some really good restaurants.
Sarma.
Yeah. Have you been to it?
I haven't.
I have Over by in Gilman Square, where the Haddock.
It was the Paddock.
The Paddock.
Yeah, she's a native.
So anyway, so it's a really good new restaurant, and there's a bunch of ones in Union Square that popped up. I love Bronwyn.
I got the rundown on all the new restaurants in the eastern part of the city from my good friend Susan Fontano last night.
There's a lot of really good. She was sitting in front of me. East Somerville Community School. Yep.
Beautiful school.
Yeah.
I went.
That's where they know.
The ceremony last night. If you have not seen that school, go in.
That's a highlight of 2013.
They did a terrific job with that. But Susie Fontano and her sister highlighted all the new restaurants for me in East.
Well, that foodie crawl is going to come up. We got to do the foodie crawl.
East End Grill.
Carrie Dancy is going to come on the show. She's supposed to be on the show.
Carrie was on the show once, wasn't she?
She was, but she and I reached out to her before, and she wasn't able to do it before the holidays. It's a busy time of year.
It is a busy time of year. We're going to have a lot of interesting topics. We're going to do a lot more specials. You're going to have the chit chat with folks who come in. George Perouakis is
Sarah Spicer.
He's the chief planner for the city.
Yeah.
He's going to be talking about what's happening in the city coming up.
I'm excited. I'm excited for 2014.
Good years.
It's going to be a good year.
Yep.
Greater Somerville.
So January 30th, don't forget, it is a live broadcast from the big studio down here.
Oh, yeah.
Watch for the specials coming up.
And maybe you can see us pick up an award. Joe is going to be hosting as well, so that's exciting.
I will be emceeing again this year.
All right, so stay warm, everyone. If you see anyone out on the street as well, make sure you contact 911 and the police department.
Keep your eye out tonight. I mean, every night, but especially tonight, keep your eye out. Thanks for tuning in, as always.
Stay safe and stay informed. Good night, everyone.